Good morning, everyone. We are gathered here on the banks of the Susquehanna River the week before Capona to celebrate our great and wonderful river and our continued civic improvements. I read on Penn Live this morning a little bit about the history of the first Capona in 1916. In 1916, they had 50,000 people come out for the first Capona. This year, we expect more than twice that, over 100,000 people from all over the region coming to see the best of Harrisburg. They'll get to experience the sparkling waters, the wire walkers, all of the food vendors. But one of the things they'll get to see is this marvelous, complete restoration of the lower Riverwalk that we're on now. As many of you may know, over 100 years ago, this was state-of-the-art technology. We are actually standing on top of the city's sewer system. And the sewer flows underneath these very concrete slabs down to the treatment plant. And was all part of an effort in the early 20th century called the City Beautiful to make Harrisburg a shining example for the region. And I think now that we have restored it and brought it back, we are once again going to be a shining example. This walkway will bring people together, tens of thousands of people this weekend and every weekend as we move forward, sharing fellowship, gazing out at the sparkling waters and appreciating the beauty that surrounds us. And the river's gotten something of a difficult reputation lately, but in reality, it is the lifeblood of the region. It holds us together. And it is the region and the natural setting which draws so many people to want to live in Central PA and in Harrisburg. Now, I have a few fun facts about this project, but let me start with a personal anecdote. It was a couple of years ago now that I rode the Tour de Belt, and we came down on the lower Riverwalk. Probably all of you were there with me, and as you know, it was a bumpy ride. You had to look out for all the many obstacles along this pathway. The concrete had really deteriorated. Many of the slabs were missing. If you look, the entire top step has been replaced as a part of this project, but the top step had been missing. It was actually very, very dangerous. Wonderfully fun, but very dangerous. And at that time, I turned to Wayne Martin, our city engineer, who deserves special thanks here, and said, we have got to prioritize fixing the lower Riverwalk. And we've got to find the money somehow. He went out and worked to develop a plan, and then we went out and secured the funding. As many of you may know, the actual cost borne by the city was very, very little in this project. It was under $200,000. The vast majority of the grant, over $1.5 million, came through PennDOT, and we want to thank them as the funding partners who have consistently been here supporting the city, Riverfront Park, the capital area Greenbelt, of which this is a part. It was an extraordinary project, and Wayne gave me a couple of fun facts that you may be interested in knowing. Guess how many concrete trucks were used to do this? 170 concrete trucks came down and dumped their concrete, which included over 1,500 cubic yards. And we are on a stretch that was completely redone that is over 10,275 feet long. As some of you may know, we had previously done a small section in the Shipoke neighborhood, so we knew it could be redone, but we connected this. That's almost 2 miles long. We go all the way up to Maclay and the governor's mansion. Another interesting fact here is that we used 4 tons of steel supports just to do the top step all the way along the river. So it was an incredible amount of supplies and workmanship, and there are many people that need to be thanked. But I am pleased that we have a fully accessible, wonderfully rideable, fantastically strollable, and an amazingly congregatable walk here, which really will continue to bring us together and is something that we can be proud of, just as our forefathers and city founders were proud 100 years ago. I want to turn things over to our city engineer to thank some of the people that are here and to tell you a little bit more about the project. Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. So I had an opportunity to attend the World Canal Cities Conference in Yangzhou, China recently. I was invited as a representative of the city of Harrisburg and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And the one thing I learned that people around the world love cities, love rivers, and there's certain people that love the ocean and tend to congregate to the ocean, and some that congregate to the mountains, and there's others that congregate to the cities. And when I started to reflect on my own life, I realized that my parents were both born and raised within 2 blocks of a river. I personally was born and raised at 2 blocks of a river, and now I'm raising my family exactly 2 blocks from a river. I don't know why that is. It just is. It's probably unconscious, but it happened. And when I was down spending a lot of time down here this summer because of the project, there's bikers, there's walkers, but there's also people that just come down here and just stare at the river for hours on end. And so don't underestimate the importance of this Riverwalk to just the spirit of our community. With that said, there are certain unsung heroes in every project that I want to recognize, and also the organizations that were involved in this project. In 2011, Tropical Storm Lee did most of the damage the mayor had described earlier, and the city received modest funds to do some patchwork on this project. In 2014, we realized that patching this Riverwalk was just not going to cut it. So we requested that FEMA reallocate those funds to just start on a slab replacement instead of some patchwork. Thankfully, they granted that request, but then obviously that put the onus on us to find funding to complete the project. Mike Krimpansky, who many of you know with the Greenbelt Association, saw that as an opportunity to start writing letters of support and knocking on doors and calling people. And without him, I can't imagine we would have gotten this far. Now, we didn't get every grant we applied for. There were certain ones that were denied. Fortunately, there was the Transportation Alternative Program, the federal funding through PennDOT, as the mayor mentioned, that was available and granted those funds. Commissioner Haste, who is the chair of HATS, Harrisburg Area Transportation Study, which is the MPO in our region, personally championed the project to make sure that it did receive that funding, and to him, we are very grateful. PennDOT, there are some unsung heroes at PennDOT who, made sure that the city was putting in the right forms. You'll notice down at the railroad bridge, we stopped short of the railroad bridge so as not to delay the project. Sometimes coordination with the railways can be cumbersome and delay projects. So there's a lot of good advice that we've taken. The contractors, the designer, Wilson Consulting Group, great group, does a lot of work on the green belts and the trails. This is sort of their expertise. We had Deblin was the prime contractor. Tremendous work. They requested a 4-day time extension, which not too shabby considering this thing was underwater, at least 6 days during that construction schedule. So this project finished on budget, generally on time, and if you don't count the four small days. We accomplished more work than we had set out to do. We knew we had $1.5 million plus some city funds to spend, and we wanted to make sure that those were spent in the wisest ways. So we had our Parks and Rec department help on some things so that we didn't use that money on the contractor. Urban engineering did the construction inspection. A lot of times you think of highway inspectors and you think of that guy sitting in the car checking his phone. That wasn't the case with the inspector in charge of this project. They had 2 crews running most of the time, pouring concrete at the south end and the north end. And Mr. Steve Geis must have walked this thing about 5 times a day. So he probably, I wanted to give him my Fitbit, just to, my wife and I are sort of in a competition, but he was usually out here too early in the morning for me to get it to him. So he also deserves a special thank you. And there's other organizations, obviously, Dauphin County, the Greenbelt Association, so many, DEP, who granted the permit to be down here to do the work. It's an Army Corps of Engineer permit. And then to modify the permit when we realized that the sewer system that the mayor mentioned was, not 18 inches under the slab, but 9 inches under the slab, and which resulted in us actually pouring an additional top step in certain sections of the project so as not to disturb that sewer interceptor. So there's so many unsung heroes in a project like this, and I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody. It's definitely not intentional, but without further, I will turn it over to County Commissioner, and he can describe how this is critical to the regional planning and all the other projects that the county is supporting in the area. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. It is an honor and a privilege to be here this morning, and I want to take a moment and on behalf of my colleagues, Jeff Haste and George Hartwick, and the 275,000 residents of Dauphin County, I want to say a special thank you to Mayor Pappenfuss. Under his continued leadership, the city of Harrisburg is adding another jewel to its crown today, right here along the mighty Susquehanna River. Mayor, thank you for all you are doing and will continue to do on behalf of the residents, not just of the city, but here in Dauphin County. I was speaking with Carl Dixon, who is the president of the Greenbelt Association, Capital Area Greenbelt Association, as well as our director of Parks and Recreation in Dauphin County. And he reminded me, as you just did, of the regional impact of this. This isn't just something that's going to be a benefit to the city or Dauphin County. Thousands of people, not just here, but across the region, will utilize this stretch every day, 24/7, 365, and this is the result of a true team effort on many levels. And again, I want to thank everybody here. I know the folks behind me are chomping at the bit to get on those bikes and come through here. But again, I wanted to say thank you to the mayor for his leadership. Look forward to working with you on projects moving into the future. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. A man who needs no introduction, and who, with the greatest of ease, managed to assemble the largest single crowd we've ever had as a backdrop for a press conference, is Mr. Dick Norford. It was Dick who invited me to take that tour on the Tour de Belt and to ride along here on my bicycle, which showed many of the literal pitfalls that we had to experience. But also, we're in the midst of a sort of transportation revolution in Harrisburg. We have what is called Vision Zero, which is a vision to eliminate traffic-related fatalities in our city and to make our city a safe place to walk and bike and utilize mass transit. And this project represents the importance of having throughways that are bicycle-friendly, that are pedestrian-friendly, that allow people to get back and forth without the interference of a lot of traffic. I want to thank him for the crowd, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to talk about why projects like this are important for the city and the region. Dick.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yep.
By the way, he did ride the Tour de Belt twice.
Yep.
One of my spies told me that on Reservoir Park Hill, he pushed a little bit, but next year,
Yes,
but next year he won't. So,
okay.
is that right?
It's
So,
a big hill,
yeah.
steep hill.
The mayor mentioned the City Beautiful movement, which actually was started right here in Harrisburg. And just imagine Harrisburg at the turn of the century. That's the 1900 turn of the century. The sewage that runs under here used to just go into the river. The streets weren't paved. There were steel mills. The water wasn't safe to drink. So the vision that was spawned was to build this city back, and the speech that was given to the Board of Trade at that time, now the Chamber of Commerce, was called Wake Up Harrisburg. And Harrisburg did wake up, and as a result of a lot of hard work, the Greenbelt was spawned. But the Greenbelt was the vision of a few people. It was actually a protege of the people that built Central Park, which was copied from Hyde Park in London. But Harrisburg at that time was if you went to Paxtang or if you went to Susquehanna or Linglestown, you went out into the country and came back. So the vision of the Greenbelt was to connect those communities, and the Greenbelt still connects the communities within Dauphin County. This is such a critical link because the Greenbelt is not only a beautiful recreation trail, and yes, I'm a part of this group that's behind us, and if I talk too long, they'll just ride over me. So I won't be talking that long. So, but when a city is more inviting to walking and to biking, it's just a better place to live and a better place to work and a better place to play. And the city and Dauphin County, Hack, and the 4 other municipalities through which the Greenbelt moves have all come together just to make this a better place to live. And again, not only is it a recreational trail, it's a very vital cog in our communication, in our transportation with people that are commuting in and out of the city. I've recently had an opportunity through the Visitors Bureau to work with a lot of writers that come in to write about why go to Harrisburg, and they all enjoy being able to see the 24 points of interest around our Greenbelt, such as the Capitol, the Governor's Mansion, the Rutherford House, and many, many more, too many to mention this morning. So on behalf of the Capital Area Greenbelt, I'd just like to say thank you, Mayor.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Martin, Commissioner Priest. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to get out of the way before I get run over, so thank you.
All right, as we bring the ribbon forth and we prepare to inaugurate this beautifully redone 2-mile stretch of incredible bikeway, which will hopefully last another 100 years, I want to say I want to thank one more city official. He is here. That's Mr. Dave Baker, who is our new head of Parks, Recreation, and Facilities. He did something which you may not know, which is he actually ensured, with the help of Dauphin County and others, the cleaning up of the steps themselves. Not only did we replace the slab, but had you been here a few months back, you would have known that the steps were overgrown with weeds and driftwood and other things. And I went on vacation, but told him when I got back I wanted to make sure that 2 miles of steps were completely clear, and he did it. So way to go, Mr. Baker. And also, I think it is worth noting this is the only experience I've had with a grant where we originally asked for $1 million, quickly determined that the project was going to actually cost more than that, went back to our funder, and they said, no problem, we'll increase the grant by another $500,000. So that was amazing. All right. Here's how this is going to work. We are going to cut the ribbon, but that will not be the starting bell, because otherwise we will wipe out the media corps in Harrisburg, and that will defeat the purpose of this meeting. So we're going to cut the ribbon, move the microphone stands away, and then I'll do like a countdown, and we'll bike and invite others to walk, and we'll go towards Shipoke for a little while. Okay? All right. But first, the ribbon cutting. Let's see. Dick, why don't you take half the scissors, if that's all right? I'll take the bottom. We'll work on it together, and we'll do a little countdown. Are we ready? You can help us count down. This will be a short one. From 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. May the walk stand for another generation.